this situation in Connecticut. I mentioned yesterday, by the way, that you had this professor of history at the University of Rhode Island. He wanted Wayne LaPierre, who's the head of the NRA, wanted his head on a stick. Remember that? And he said that everybody that thinks that teachers ought to be armed, which would include yours truly, he said they ought to be beaten to death or something of that, some kind of violent call for an attack against those that think teachers ought to be armed. Now, here's actress Marge, I don't know how she says her name. She's on CSI. She's one of the stars of CSI, and she says one can only hope, those are her words, one can only hope that NRA members get shot. This was in response to a tweet by author Joyce Carol Oates, who said that gun control legislation might be forthcoming, quote, if sizable numbers of NRA members become gun victims themselves. So openly hoping for and calling for gun violence against the NRA. So they don't want the NRA to have guns. They don't want you and me to have guns, but they want to have guns so they can come and shoot us. So that is the logic of the way people on the left happen to think. Now let's grab a couple of sound bites here from these liberals. Let's grab, if we can, let's start with clip number 3, this is video clip, Rob. Clip number 3, this is Harry Reid. And again, we just heard how the NRA has been demonized. We want these people shot. I want this. And the guy that's in this soundbite is the head of the NRA. This is the guy that the history prof at Rhode Island, he wants this guy's head on a pike. Now, this is from a YouTube video that is on Harry Reid's YouTube website. This is right off of his website. He's in it. The first voice you will hear is Harry Reid. And this is at a dedication of the finest shooting range in the world. That's how it's introduced. That's how they're touting it. Harry Reid's there to dedicate it. Wayne LaPierre from the NRA is right there alongside him to help dedicate this thing. This is the guy that everybody on the left wants his head on a stick. This is the guy that heads the organization. Mark Helgenberger wants these people shot. Author Joyce Oates wants these people shot. And Harry Reid here is dedicating the shooting range right alongside Wayne LaPierre. So again, first words you'll hear is Harry Reid. Now, he doesn't want you to have arms. If it's up to Harry Reid, he'd take away your gun today. But listen to what he was willing to do and is willing to do for himself, and then you'll hear Wayne LaPierre, NRA. Let's listen.
We hear a lot about guns and self-defense, and that's good. I understand that. I was a police officer where I carried a gun, and as some of you know, during my time being chairman of the Nevada Gaming Commission, I had a lot of bad people after me, and I carried a gun every place I went. So I know what gun and self-defense is.
So here Reid says, look, I know what self-defense is. I know what a gun is. I carried a gun with me everywhere I went. And then introduced Wayne LaPierre, who was the next guy to speak, said glowing things about Wayne LaPierre. Now, let's back up. Joe Biden, let's go back up to the audio bite A14, Jeff, if we can. This is audio sound bite. This is Joe Biden talking back in 2008, I believe, because in the campaign, the issue of gun rights came up. And Joe Biden, remember, has been appointed by President Obama to head up this task force on gun control legislation. Now, again, Byron York makes the point on his column today on the Washington Examiner. I think he's exactly right. What these guys are doing is kicking this can down the alley. This is what liberals are good at. They are masters at this high-sounding language and these blue ribbon commissions and all that kind of stuff to make it look like they're taking an issue seriously. They're getting down to it. They're getting after it. They're addressing it. They're doing something about it, when in reality, it's just a way to postpone action. Because the reality is, what President Obama is talking about is reinstating a ban on assault weapons and a ban on high-capacity magazines. That's the same thing we did in 1994. You could dust off that same piece of legislation and retool it. You could trot that out tomorrow. If President Obama was actually serious about gun control legislation, that piece of legislation didn't work, total disaster. I'll explain why after the break. It expired in 2004, late and unlamented and unmourned. So don't let the media lie to you on this. This is not President Obama taking decisive action. This is President Obama taking decisive inaction. This is not President Obama being active. This is President Obama being passive. That's all these Blue Ribbon Task Force and commissions are all about. So here's Joe Biden back in the campaign trail 2008, and he basically issues a threat here to Barack Obama. Let's listen.
I guarantee you, Barack Obama ain't taking my shotguns, so don't buy that malarkey. Don't buy that malarkey. They're gonna start peddling that to you. I got two. If he tries to fool with my Beretta, he's got a problem.
Okay, who's that guy sound like? I mean, if I hadn't told you that was Joe Biden, you would think that was some guy from Duck Dynasty, wouldn't you? That's the Duck Dynasty guy. I guarantee you Barack Obama ain't taking away my shotguns, so don't buy that malarkey. So Joe Biden going to be on this Blue Ribbon Commission. Barack Obama ain't taking my shotguns, so don't buy that malarkey. Now, let's grab clip number one, the video clip, Rob. This is Dianne Feinstein. And this is Dianne Feinstein, who was a big champion of the federal assault weapons ban in 1994. She's making a big push to reinstate that ban today. But here is Dianne Feinstein back in 1995. And listen to her, just like Harry Reid, don't do as I say is my point. Don't do as Dianne Feinstein says. Do as she does. Let's listen.
Later, this same group shot out all the windows of my home, and I know the sense of helplessness that people feel. I know the urge to arm yourself, because that's what I did. I was trained in firearms. I'd walk to the hospital when my husband was sick. I carried a concealed weapon. I made the determination that if somebody was going to try to take me out, I was going to take them with me.
Now, who does that sound like? If I hadn't told you that was Dianne Feinstein, you would have thought you were talking to the wife of the chairman of the NRA, Dianne Feinstein. I'm packing heat. I'm packing heat everywhere I go. Somebody comes after me, I'm taking them down with me. I mean, maybe she sounds like Mrs. Duck Dynasty, if you didn't know who we were talking about. Now, here is second clip, video clip number 2, Dianne Feinstein. This is back in 1995, again, talking about this assault ban weapons, the ban on assault weapons, which, again, is just a hunting rifle. I mean, these assault weapons, they look like military-style rifles, but they're just dressed-up hunting rifles. I mean, the mechanism internally is exactly the same. There is no different in the mechanism inside the gun. Here's Dianne Feinstein saying what she would like to do in 1995. She'd like to do it again. Let's listen.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
And she says, look, the votes just weren't there, but if I'd had them, I would have done it. I would have sent armed people into every single solitary home in America to confiscate every single gun that the American people have. And ladies and gentlemen, this woman is still in the United States Senate. She might be part of this Blue Ribbon Task Force to draft this gun control legislation. Here's my point. This just shows you where the left is at. I mean, the left wants to confiscate guns. They want them gone. They want them off the streets. They want them out of your house. They want them out of your car. They want them out of your hands. They want them out of your gun safe. They want them off every gun range in America. They want your bullets. They don't want you to have ammunition to defend and protect yourself. So make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, this is where they're at. What you saw, what you heard from Dianne Feinstein, they still believe that today. If they could, they would take every gun that you own. Second Amendment and the Constitution, forget about it. Focal Point AFR Talk, back in 2.